Taylor Allison Swift is an American singer-songwriter. Her discography straddles genres, and her narrative songwriting, often inspired by her personal life, has received critical praise and widespread media coverage. Born in West Reading, Pennsylvania, Swift moved to Nashville, Tennessee at the age of 14 to pursue a career in country music. She signed a songwriting contract with Sony, a TV music publishing in 2004 and a recording deal with Big Machine Records in 2005, and released her eponymous debut studio album in 2006. Swift explored country pop on the albums Fearless and Speak Now, the success of singles Love Story, You Belong With Me and Back to December on both country and pop radio established her as a leading crossover artist. She experimented with rock and electronic genres on her fourth studio album, Red, supported by the singles We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together and I Knew You Were Trouble. Swift eschewed country on her synth-pop album 1989 and its chart-topping tracks Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood. Media scrutiny on Swift's private life inspired Reputation, which drew from urban sounds, led by Look What You Made Me Do. The album made Swift the only act in MRC data history to have 4 albums each sell over 1 million copies in a week. Parting ways with Big Machine, Swift signed with Republic Records in 2018 and released her 7th studio album, Lover. Inspired by escapism during COVID-19 pandemic, Swift ventured into indie folk and alternative rock styles on her 2020 studio albums, Folklore and Evermore, receiving plaudits for their nuanced storytelling. Following a dispute over the masters of her back catalog, she released the 2021 re-recordings Fearless and Red to universal acclaim. The #1 songs Cardigan, Willow and All Too Well made Swift the only act to simultaneously debut atop the US Billboard Hot 100 and Billboard 200 charts 3 times. Besides music, she has played supporting roles in films such as Valentine's Day and Cats, released the autobiographical documentary Miss Americana, and directed the musical films Folklore, The Long Pond Studio Sessions and All Too Well, the short film. With over 200 million records sold worldwide, Swift is one of the best-selling musicians of all time. 8 of her songs have topped the Hot 100, and her concert tours are some of the highest grossing in history. She has received 11 Grammy Awards, an Emmy Award, 34 American Music Awards, 29 Billboard Music Awards, and 58 Guinness World Records, among other accolades. She has featured on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Songwriters of All Time, Billboard's Greatest of All Time Artists, the Time 100 and Forbes Celebrity 100 rankings, having been honored with titles such as Woman of the Decade and Artist of the Decade. Swift is regarded as a pop icon due to her influential career, philanthropy, and advocacy for artists' rights and women's empowerment. Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13, 1989, at the Reading Hospital in West Reading, Pennsylvania. Her father, Scott Kingsley Swift, is a former stockbroker for Merrill Lynch. Her mother, Andrea Gardner Swift, is a former homemaker who previously worked as a mutual fund marketing executive. Her younger brother, Austin, is an actor. She was named after singer-songwriter James Taylor and has Scottish and German heritage. Her maternal grandmother, Marjorie Finlay, was an opera singer. Swift's paternal great-great-grandfather was an Italian immigrant entrepreneur, community leader who opened several businesses in Philadelphia in the 1802nd. Swift spent her early years on a Christmas tree farm that her father purchased from one of his clients. Swift identifies as a Christian. She attended preschool and kindergarten at the Alvernia Montessori School, run by the Bernardine Franciscan Sisters, before transferring to the Wincroft School. The family moved to a rented house in the suburban town of Wyomissing, Pennsylvania, where she attended Wyomissing Area Senior High School. At age 9, Swift became interested in musical theater and performed in 4 Berks Youth Theater Academy productions. She also traveled regularly to New York City for vocal and acting lessons. Swift later shifted her focus toward country music, inspired by Shania Twain's songs, which made her want to just run around the block 4 times and daydream about everything. She spent weekends performing at local festivals and events. After watching a documentary about Faith Hill, Swift felt sure she needed to move to Nashville, Tennessee, to pursue a career in music. She traveled with her mother at age 11 to visit Nashville record labels and submitted demo tapes of Dolly Parton and the Chicks karaoke covers. She was rejected, however, because everyone in that town wanted to do what I wanted to do. So, I kept thinking to myself, I need to figure out a way to be different. Taylor Swift has been named in numerous lawsuits over the years, with various musicians and songwriters claiming the singer has copied their work in creating her own. But for the first time, Taylor has been accused of plagiarizing a book In 2019, Taylor released a short book titled Lover to accompany her album of the same name. Though it has been 3 years since the book hit shelves, a writer has come forward claiming the similarities between her book and Taylor's are too hard to ignore. Teresa La Dart has filed the lawsuit against Taylor. She released a poetry book with the same title, Lover, in 2010. Almost a full decade between Taylor's book became available, but it's not only the title of Taylor's book that Teresa is taking issue with. She also claims the design of the book's cover and preface is eerily similar to her own, from the pastel colors to the filtered photographs. Moreover, the plaintiff argues that the idea behind Taylor's book copies her poetry book. They're both a recollection of past years memorialized in a combination of written and pictorial components, court documents reveal. Teresa is asking the court to award her $1 million in damages over the similarities. So far, Taylor hasn't commented on the new lawsuit, but she's defended herself against plagiarism accusations in the past. Taylor is currently battling it out with songwriters Sean Hall and Nathan Butler. The pair claim that Taylor's song Shake It Off borrows lyrics from their 2001 song Plagiarism. The songwriters launched the lawsuit years ago, though it was initially dismissed. However, Sean and Nathan appealed the decision and are preparing to make their case in court once again. Taylor was also sued over Shake It Off by R&B artist Jesse Graham, who attempted to collect damages from the singer over 4 times. He originally filed the case in 2015, arguing that her hit copied lyrics from his song Haters Gone Hate, which was released a year before Shake It Off. Jesse was seeking $42 million in damages. The original case was dismissed, but Jesse proceeded to appeal the decision multiple times. It was eventually dismissed with prejudice, meaning Jesse couldn't try it in court again. However, he found a loophole and was able to sue Taylor again through his company rather than personally himself. But the case was dismissed earlier this year, also with prejudice.